Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful mindset shifts you can possibly make for your career. It's this move from just being responsible to having true ownership. And believe me, it is a total game changer. So let's dive right in. You know the feeling. We've all been there, right? You get an assignment, you follow every single instruction to the letter, and you deliver exactly what was asked for, probably right on time too. Yep, you probably even stayed a little late. You made absolutely sure every single requirement on that to-do list had a big, fat check mark right next to it. By all measures, you did a good job. But there's that feeling, isn't there? That little nagging sense that you're just a small piece of this much bigger machine, that you don't have any real control or impact. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, trust me, you are not alone. So that feeling, it leads us straight into something I call the responsibility trap. We're all taught that being responsible is like the gold standard at work. But here's the thing, if you really want to lead, if you want to drive actual change, it's just not enough. Let's dig into why. So let's get our terms straight. Responsibility. Well, it's all about the task. It's what's in your job description, it's your checklist. It's focused entirely on the what you have to do. And this little coffee pot example illustrates the limit of responsibility just perfectly. Okay, so your task is to make coffee. If the coffee machine breaks, well, fixing it wasn't on your list, was it? A responsible person reports that it's broken and that's it. Task complete. End of story. This is where the magic happens. This is the crucial shift. So let's really look at the fundamental difference between just being responsible for a task and actually taking ownership of the outcome. Ownership, on the other hand, is all about the outcome. It's about understanding the why behind what you're even doing. The goal isn't just to make coffee, the goal is for the team to have coffee. That's a completely different way of looking at the problem. So let's go back to our poor, broken coffee pot. The person with an ownership mindset, they don't just stop. No way. They see the desired outcome, which is, caffeinated and happy coworkers, and they just make it happen. They get resourceful, they call the repair guy, they hunt down a French press, they'll even pivot to tea. They solve the actual problem. This chart just lays out the difference so clearly. Look at this. Responsibility is kind of transactional, right? It's about the task, the what, and it usually ends with that defensive phrase, hey, I did my part. But ownership? Ownership is transformational. It's about the outcome, the why behind it all, and it ends with a statement that is just so much more powerful. I made sure it happened. Okay, so let's zoom out and see how this builds into something so much bigger. Adopting an ownership mindset isn't just about getting your tasks done better. It is about fundamentally changing the entire trajectory of your career. It's about you taking control. So, what does an owner actually do? Well, for one, they don't wait to be told what to do. They're proactive. They'll spot a mistake in a report, they'll fix it, and this is the really crucial part. They think bigger. They think strategically about how to prevent that same mistake from ever happening again. They don't just put out fires, they fireproof the building. I absolutely love this metaphor because it is just so true. A passenger, they just go wherever the plane takes them. But the pilot sets the destination. They check all the instruments, and they navigate every single challenge to get there safely. The pilot is in command. So let me just ask you this. When it's time for that high-stakes project, or a promotion, or maybe even a real stake in the company, who is leadership going to bet on? The passenger who just did their part, or the pilot who made sure the entire journey was a success? Come on, it's not even a question. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you make that shift from responsibility to ownership in your day-to-day? Here is a simple 3-step framework you can start using, like today. All right, first step, always ask yourself, and then what? Before you hand off your work, just think about the next person in the chain. Is this formatted in a way that helps them? Did you give them all the context they'll need? Make their job easier. Second, you have to banish the phrase, not my job, from your vocabulary. If an obstacle is blocking the ultimate goal, it is part of your job to help clear that path, even if it's not in your formal job description. And finally, number 3,
Provide solutions, not just updates. Instead of telling your boss, the server is down, you go to them and say, the server is down, I've already contacted IT, and here are 2 workarounds we can use in the meantime. You see the difference? It's huge.
Now, let's be real for a minute. Making the shift isn't some magic wand. It requires you to really step up, and that means it comes with some very real risk, but also incredible reward. You know, when you take ownership, you are putting yourself out there. You're accepting accountability. And if that project you're leading doesn't work out, you can't just say, well, I did my part. The failure is yours. That can be scary. But here's the other side of that coin, and this is the exciting part. When you own that outcome, and that outcome is a massive success, that win is undeniably yours. You aren't just a helper. You are the driver. And that is what builds a career with real impact. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to look at your to-do list for tomorrow. Find one thing, just one, where you've just been focused on being responsible. Now ask yourself, how can I own the outcome instead? What would that actually look like? That small shift in perspective, that's where it all begins.